I meant when I told Sean. Eventually, the press can't lie about that. The Trump team predicted it in May. They are not Karnak from the Johnny Carson show, okay? They predicted it. That's exactly what they hit. Now, to be fair, the liberals listening and the Democrats, you may say, okay, Dan, what's the big deal? The Obama team was spot on all the time with their estimates. As Warner Wolf used to say, let's go to the videotape. Yeah. Let's see exactly what the Obama team did. This is the same piece from Freeman, by the way. He's citing some of the Obama economic forecasts and the coverage of that. And I'm quoting here. It says the average annual growth rate from 2010 to 2016 for the Obama years, folks, again, assuming 2% real growth for 2016, was 2.1%. So from 2010 to 2016, it was 2.1%. Now, the Obama team's multi-year forecasts averaged a 71% overestimate from this figure. Oh! So let me get this straight, Joe. Furman's argument is that the Trump team is insane. Yeah. They're overestimating their growth as he's simultaneously beating the Obama growth rates easily in his first year, as his predictions from last May were right on target, and as the Obama predictions on the economy overestimated growth by 71% during the Obama years. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let these numbers get in the way of your assertions that the Obama team knows exactly what they're talking about on the economy. Now, it gets better because now he's talking about all the lost growth from their estimations. In other words, if the Obama team was right about how they were going to grow the economy through Obamanomics, the Obama team, I think it's obvious, Joe, committed early to a tax and regulatory regime that was going to introduce more government into our lives at the expense of more rules and at the expense of your wallet. There's no question about that, okay? Here's what that cost us. He says compounding growth at 3.6% annually means a 28% larger economy after 7 years. That was their prediction. Compounding at only 2.1%, where they weren't at 3.6, means 15.7% growth. So they were estimating 3.6. They were grotesquely wrong. They hit 2.1. This is what this cost you, including you too, Armacost. If the administration's growth projections were accurate, the GDP would be about $1.8 trillion larger. You know how much that is? That's roughly $6,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States.
Not exactly crumbs.
Dude, that's going on a T-shirt. Not exactly crumbs with an exclamation point. You're damn right that's not exactly crumbs. The Obama team's estimates were so off. They were off by about $6,000. That's what you would have made if they would have hit their own targets, which they didn't. Listen, I can pile on Jason Furman all I want. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm not here to attack the guy personally. I'm just basically trying to tell you, and this is to take it out to 30,000 feet to give you, the mental material you need to argue with your liberal friends. When they cite experts, Austin Goolsbee, Jason Furman, Larry Summers, Obama himself, and other people from the Obama team talking about how, this is the Obama economy, he handed off a great economy to Trump, and they start talking about predictions of what's going to happen, I want you to ask them then why the Obama team couldn't match their own predictions and why the failure to match those own predictions by overestimating by almost 71% cost every American about $6,000. Explain that. When you can explain that, then you can get into attacking the Trump team, who, by the way, hit the prediction right on the darn money and is already beating the Obama team. Until then, I'm sorry, guys, but pipe down. You have no credibility in this. You've been way off. You obviously don't know what you're talking about, and I think you're just making this up. All right. Last topic of the day, because this is another one revolving around the budget. And the reason I'm bringing this up is there's a lot going on. Obviously, we have still the Parkland, what happened there. A lot going on with attacks on the NRA and everything. But we do have to talk about, there are other things going on. These are also pressing issues. So that was on that side. But there's another good piece I saw at the Journal today about what's really driving the federal deficit. Now, I don't want to beat this thing up too much because we've talked about this before, but they frame it in such a way I think is interesting, and it's kind of a new way I've heard about it. We're in a little bit of trouble. Let me just, speaking of That was the good news. In other words, I think the economy's growing, just to be clear, because I don't want to leave you on a Friday with a bad feeling. I think things will be okay if we can get a hold of our spending, and the economy is growing, and we can grow out of this if we handle this the right way.
Okay.
Having said that, let me give you the alternate side, too, just to do the right thing. I don't want to, be one of those shows that leaves you with a Pollyannish feeling of everything either. It's a quote from the Journal today. The federal deficit is big and getting bigger. President Trump's budget estimates a deficit of nearly $900 billion for 2018 and nearly $1 trillion for 2019. Folks, that's a big deal. I don't care who signs it. I don't care if there's a Republican or Democrat. These are recorded shows. We keep them around forever. I do not believe in deficits. I don't give a damn who signs it. Even worse, its balance sheet reveals the public debt will reach $15.7 trillion by October. Pay attention to this number. This works out to $48,081.61 for every man, woman, and child in the United States. Folks, ouch. That does not even count unfunded liabilities by Social Security and Medicare. Folks, that's a big number. That's huge. Keep in mind, that doesn't count any of the obligations we've made to people through Social Security and Medicare. That's 4 times the current public debt.
Yeah, it's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, you're looking at, you're darn right that's going to leave a mark. You're looking at over 6 figures for every single person in America. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people out there working in low-income jobs who are just starting out. Either they're still in school or they're working on their skills who won't make $100,000 in 4 or 5 years. That entire amount is owed to the government, and more when you factor in Social Security and Medicare. We have a debt problem. And the piece is entitled, Why We Are Growing Broke. Here's another number in there that'll absolutely blow your mind. Federal tax revenue, Joe, has grown. This is interesting. Has grown 15% faster than national income. Tax revenue has grown 15% faster than national income. So you're saying, well, what's the problem? If tax revenue is growing so fast, then why do we have this catastrophic debt situation? Because federal spending has grown 50% faster than national income. Ladies and gentlemen, tax revenue is not keeping up with the explosion in federal spending. We have a serious catastrophic tidal wave of a red debt menace coming ashore soon. We can stop it. We can stop this train from running us over on the tracks if we would just get a hold of it now. What is the real driver here? Now, I always hesitate. Joe, you can sense where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get negative feedback. For the 15th time or 20th or whatever, I'm going to preface this by saying something I am absolutely serious about. I am not telling anyone out there who is 55 or older who has paid into Social Security that we should take your benefits. I can't, please, can we get that on a loop? Because I will get an email saying, I can't believe you think I should. I paid it. You did pay into it. I get it. I'm not suggesting, it doesn't matter because I'm not a legislator anyway. I'm just telling you that knowledge is power. Ignorance is not bliss of the situation. You did pay into it. They spent your money. They've already gotten rid of it. A lot of people paid into government pensions, too. That money's never going to show up either. Now, I'm not saying they should take that away from you. I'm just telling you the facts. They already spent it. That money isn't there anymore. Social Security is a pay-go system now, meaning as people working now pay into the system, it doesn't go into a trust fund for them. It goes to pay you. And I'm fine with that. The government made promises to you that they broke, but I get it that you are past your working years. You paid in the entire time. And whereas me at 43 and Joe, you're in your 50s, right?
60s.
I've only asked you this 50 times, but you look so young. I always get confused. I mean, wouldn't you agree that it's reasonable that you and I can change?
Yeah.
We can change careers. We can work a little harder. If you're 65 or older and those promises were broke, it doesn't do me any good as a legislator, as a country to say, oh, and by the way, those Social Security payments, sorry, they're done. There's no money. Mm-hmm. We'd have a catastrophic situation where we'd have our elderly folks who can't go back to work out on the street. So to be crystal clear, I am not suggesting that. I'm just trying to give you a scope of the problem. Please understand that. Folks, entitlement spending is what's bankrupting us. It is not the discretionary spending. It is not the military. Your liberal friends want you to believe that. It is not true. It is categorically false. It is not accurate. Entitlement spending has grown from an astonishing 4% of GDP back in the 60s to 14% now. Not 14% of the budget, Joe. 14% of everything we produce. We produce about $20 trillion worth of goods. That's what our gross domestic product is. It has gone from 4 to 14%, and the trajectory, Joe, is up and up and up and up and up. To give you a scope of how bad the problem is, when you combine discretionary spending, in other words, the Secret Service, the FBI, line items, things like that, not entitlements, not Medicare, not Social Security, discretionary spending. When you combine discretionary spending, with defense, national defense, the percentage of GDP we've spent on that since in that same time period, Joe, no difference at all. I know that surprises a lot of people, especially the liberals who want you to believe that we're building this big, huge military juggernaut that's scooping up every dollar we have. Now, we have a great military, thank God for that. But if you think we're spending more, we are spending more in raw dollars. But when you combine it with discretionary spending and you're measuring budgetary impact, the percentage of GDP we spend on discretionary spending in the military is no different. It is the rise from 4 to 14% on entitlements that is absolutely bankrupting us. Matter of fact, there's an interesting number in here, Joe. It says even if defense spending today, spending on our military, Army, our Air Force, our Coast Guard, our Marines, our Navy, if we were to double today our defense spending, double it, it would still not match what we're paying out in entitlements. Folks, all I'm trying to do is give you a scope of the problem. Don't be. I don't want to aggravate my audience. We can't fix the problem if we're not willing to acknowledge it. Now, there are ideas out there, and I know people listen, and there are ideas we can get a hold of this. And again, these are not for people 55 and older because it's just not practical at this point. We've already screwed them over with a poorly designed plan. Folks, the way to do this right now would be very simple. The way to do it would be for people 55 and younger to convert them to accounts they control. Because I think it's clear as day right now that those Social Security accounts, they've been looted. The money was taken. Now, you can use whatever rhetoric you want on the left to define that. You can say, oh my gosh, well, this is privatizing. What does that mean? What does privatizing mean? Meaning you're letting me control my own money? Because we gave the money over to the government that in turn spent it. The money's not there. Don't tell me about an IOU. It is not, in fact, an IOU. It was a government IOU, which means it's worthless. Don't tell me about an IOU. That's nonsense. It's not true. It's worthless. It's just worthless. It's in effect, Joe, me taking money, out of my right pocket, burning it, and writing a letter saying, hey, you know what, that $20 I owe, it's gone. It's finished. You can write to yourself all you want. By the way, by the full faith and credit of Dan Bongino, you just burnt it. It's gone. The money isn't there. If we were to devise a system now where you had these personal accounts, here's a number for you I read a little while ago that's staggering. It said that right now the average Social Security benefit is around, $18,000, $20,000 a year or something like that. But if you were to put the same amount of money based on the average American income in for your entire workable life at about a 6% return, you'd get a benefit of $22,000 a year. More, and the difference is the money would actually be there. The entitlement spending is out of control. If we were to do that and make those personal accounts that you control rather than the government having a key to that lockbox that they go in and raid all the time, if we were to give you that account and then we were to turn Medicare back over to people and allow people the ability to buy their own plan, they would again become cost competitive again because they'd have to compete for customers. Remember, Medicare is a third-party payer program now. What does that mean? It means the government pays for it. And as I said to Andrew Wilkow on his show today, when the government pays for anything, neither cost nor quality matter.
Right.
Cost doesn't matter because if the government, if they're paying for something, it's not their money, so the cost doesn't matter. When you buy something for yourself, the cost matters. Milton Friedman was brilliant on this. If Joe's buying a car for himself, the cost of the car matters. Why? Because it's his money.
Yeah.
The quality of the car matters too because it's his car. But Friedman has said over and over, when you get these third-party payers like the government, the cost of the products they're buying doesn't matter because it's not their money. They're getting it from Joe and the taxpayers. But the quality of the product doesn't matter either. Why? because the third party payer is buying the product for someone else. It's not even their product. You would almost get better efficiency out of the government, Joe, if the government stole your tax money and bought themselves Lamborghinis. At least they go to buy nice cars.
Yeah.
This is why government